told your friend you're not okay.
For anyone who follows the K-pop world, especially ARMY, who are always at the forefront of BTS's performance, the second night of the concert at Goyang Stadium has become one of the most iconic moments in Kim Taehyung's stage history. From the thousands of cheering fans to the cameras that constantly followed his every move, the atmosphere that night felt like witnessing the unplanned yet perfect birth of a new legend. From the moment the staff began the sound check, there was something different about Taehyung. It wasn't just the charisma we're used to, but a mysterious, calm aura, as if a bigger story was being kept hidden behind his eyes. When a video of the soundcheck circulated on social media, the public was immediately shocked. Taehyung walked slowly toward the center of the stage with a deep gaze that made thousands of pairs of eyes fall silent. The moment lasted only a few seconds, but it was enough to send the world into a frenzy. As the concert began and the background music slowly played, Taehyung stood motionless, as if letting the silence take its course. Those seconds felt long, but they actually built a dramatic atmosphere that left the entire stadium immersed in anticipation. When he finally opened his voice and belted out the first note in his signature deep baritone, a wave of emotion swept across the stadium. Many fans reported feeling goosebumps, and some even cried because Taehyung's delivery of the song sounded so personal, so close, as if touching a part of their hearts that was hard to describe. He didn't stop there. Taehyung also made some small improvisations that weren't present in his usual version. He moved his hands gently, as if telling an unspoken story through body language. His sweeping gaze across the audience gave the impression that he was speaking directly to them, one by one, rather than to a sea of people. His outfit that night was also a major highlight. With a shiny black jacket that reflected the stage lights, paired with a dark shirt slightly open at the top, his look exuded elegance and sensuality without being overdone. Slim-fit trousers accentuated his well-proportioned figure, while accessories like earrings and several rings provided just the right touch of glamour. His hair was styled slightly messy yet stylish, creating an impression of effortless luxury that only Taehyung could. When the camera zoomed in, Taehyung's expression became a highlight. The curve of his smile, the shifting gaze, and the way his lips moved with the music. All of it captivated the audience. During one scene, he walked to the side of the stage and crouched down to approach a fan in the front row. The simple act immediately triggered hysterical screams. It was as if that fleeting moment were a once-in-a-lifetime gift. Taehyung smiled broadly, responding to the fans' energy with a genuine warmth rarely seen in his usual performances. The second night was even more emotional than the first. The way Taehyung sang each lyric seemed to contain a story he wanted to share, but never put into words. Social media was immediately abuzz with discussion. Many considered the performance one of the best of the entire tour. The video of Taehyung's performance spread like wildfire, racking up millions of views in just a matter of hours. Comments filled timelines filled with praise, praising his vocals, his visuals, his interaction with fans, and his ability to make the stage feel like an intimate space between him and the audience. And just when the audience thought the magic was over, Taehyung delivered a little surprise at the end. After the closing song, he stood quietly in the center of the stage, took a deep breath, and then looked up at the night sky above the stadium as if he were carving the memory into himself. The stage lights slowly dimmed, leaving Taehyung's silhouette looking dramatic and emotional. Suddenly, he picked up the microphone again and sang an additional note that wasn't included in the original arrangement. The short note sent the entire stadium into hysterics, sounding spontaneous, exclusive, and as if composed just for that night. His facial expression was gentle yet meaningful, as if he wanted to convey a message to each person in attendance, a message that couldn't be spoken, only felt. The other BTS members on stage smiled proudly at the moment. They seemed to understand that Taehyung was at the peak of his emotions and was giving one of the most sincere performances of his career. Shortly after, he slowly walked backstage. This phenomenon once again proved how BTS consistently manages to create a stage that is not only visually magnificent, but also brimming with emotional depth. And Taehyung, that night, stood as the center of their emotional gravity. His performance wasn't just entertainment. It was a touching experience that can't be easily replaced. But the story of that night wasn't truly over, as the echo of Kim Taehyung's performance only grew louder after the stage lights at Goyang Stadium went down and the thousands of fans began leaving, still reeling from their emotions. Outside the stadium, the atmosphere was no less lively. Armies gathered in small groups, sharing their own versions of the moment, as if each person brought a different piece of the same, yet deeply personal, story to life. In the digital world, the impact was even more explosive. Within minutes, video clips of Taehyung's performance began flooding platforms like TikTok and X, each highlighting tiny details that some viewers might have previously missed. Some focused on the moment he closed his eyes with a look of deep appreciation, others slowed down his gentle hand movements, and still others replayed the moment of his final smile before leaving the stage. Each clip seemed to have a life of its own, extending the life of a night that should have been over. Interestingly, many fans began to realize that what Taehyung displayed that night was not just a beautiful performance, but a profound form of emotional communication. The way he timed his pauses, controlled his breathing, and even chose to add an improvised note at the end of the song all felt like artistic decisions born of emotion, not just technique. This is what made his performance feel so different from other nights on the same tour. Some fans even called that night a turning point in how they viewed Taehyung as an artist. He was no longer just known for his stunning visuals or his distinctive baritone voice, but also for his ability to create an authentic and irreplaceable emotional experience. On various community forums, lengthy discussions erupted, dissecting every detail of the performance as if analyzing a world-class work of art. Meanwhile, international media and K-pop news accounts began to highlight the moment as one of the biggest highlights of BTS's tour this year. Many considered Taehyung's performance on stage that night to be a significant artistic evolution, a blend of vocal control, emotional sensitivity, and a maturing stage presence. Furthermore, his small interactions with fans continued to be a hot topic. The moment he crouched at the edge of the stage and leaned in close to the fans was considered a symbol of closeness rarely replicated by other artists. This simple gesture created the illusion that the distance between idol and fan truly disappeared, even if only for a few seconds. As time went on, more videos from different perspectives emerged, showing how the atmosphere in the stadium shifted from eerily silent as Taehyung began the most emotional part of his song, only to suddenly transform into a sea of sound as he finished with such feeling. This contrast only reinforced the impression that the night wasn't just about the music, but about the emotional journey shared by tens of thousands of people simultaneously. Even days after the concert, hashtags related to Taehyung continued to trend globally. It was living proof that the impact of a single performance can transcend time and space, rekindled every time someone presses play on the video. And perhaps most fascinating of all was how that moment managed to set a new standard, not just for Taehyung himself, but for the expectations for live performances in the K-pop world as a whole. Many began to wonder, if one night could produce such a profound experience, what other surprises would he have in store for the next stage? Ultimately, the second night in Goyang was more than just a part of a tour. It became an ever-evolving story, retold by millions of people with their own perspectives. And at the center of it all, Kim Taehyung remains a symbol of how music, emotion, and an artist's presence can come together to create something far greater than a mere performance.